The night on the ice planet was silent, but it was not peaceful. The wind moved like a slow monster across the frozen land, and the snow never stopped falling. Far above the planet, a human space station floated in the dark sky, watching everything. Below, inside the station, everything was warm, bright, and controlled. Every soldier followed strict rules. And the most important rule was simple: no one goes outside after dark. Ethan stood near the control screen, finishing his long patrol shift. His armor was heavy, and his body was tired, but his eyes were still sharp. He looked at the frozen planet below, a place where nothing should survive. "This place is dead," one soldier said behind him. Ethan did not reply. He just kept watching. Suddenly, a small sound came from the system. Beep. Beep. Ethan frowned and looked at the screen. A weak signal appeared. Blinking slowly, it was very small. Almost invisible. "Probably just noise," the other soldier said, walking away. But Ethan did not move. He zoomed in on the signal. The system tried to auto-filter it. A message appeared. "Non-human signal detected. Ignore." Ethan's hand stopped. Something felt wrong. He zoomed in more, trying to get a clearer image. At first, there was nothing but snow and darkness. Then something moved, just a little. Ethan leaned closer to the screen. "Wait, what is that?" he whispered. The image cleared for a second, and then he saw it. A small shape, lying in the snow, curled into itself, not moving much. It was not human. It was too small, too thin. And its body looked different. "Control, I have a visual," Ethan said, his voice low. The command center responded quickly. "State the situation." "There is a life form on the surface," Ethan said. There was a short silence. Then the answer came, cold and direct. "If it is not human, ignore it." Ethan looked back at the screen. The small body was still there, almost buried in snow. The storm was getting stronger, wind speed rising, temperature dropping. "No one can survive that," Ethan said quietly. "Exactly," Command replied. "That is why we do not send help." Ethan's jaw tightened. He zoomed in again. This time, the image became clear for just 1 second, and his heart stopped. It was a child, a small alien child. Its skin looked pale and frozen, its body shaking weakly. Then it moved. Just a tiny movement of its hand, like it was trying to reach for something. Then it stopped again. The signal became weaker. "Signal fading," the system warned. Ethan's fingers pressed against the screen. "It is alive," he said, almost to himself. "Not our problem," Command answered. "You are ordered to stand down." Ethan did not reply this time. He just kept staring. Outside, the storm became louder, hitting the station walls. Inside, everything felt too quiet. The child moved again, even slower now. Then its body went still. Vital signs near zero, the system said. Ethan took a slow breath. His mind was racing. His training told him to follow orders, but something deeper inside him said something else. He looked at the emergency exit door across the room, then back at the screen. "If I go out there," he whispered. The system suddenly flashed red. "Warning. Leaving base after dark is a direct violation. Punishment, court-martial." Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. The screen showed the child, barely visible now under the snow, almost gone. "If I don't go," he said softly. His voice broke for a second. "It will die." The storm outside reached its peak. The signal blinked one last time, then almost disappeared. Ethan slowly stepped toward the emergency door. Each step felt heavier than the last. Behind him, the system kept warning, "Return to position. Do not proceed." But Ethan did not stop. His hand reached for the door control. It hovered there for a second. This one choice could destroy his career, his life, everything he had. But outside, a small life was fading away. Ethan took a deep breath and placed his hand on the control. "If I step outside, I lose everything," he said quietly. Then he looked one last time at the dying signal. "And if I don't?" The screen went almost dark. It loses everything. Ethan did not think anymore. He just acted. His hand pressed the control, and the emergency door unlocked with a heavy sound. A cold warning voice filled the room. Unauthorized exit detected. Red lights started flashing across the station. Ethan quickly moved, not giving himself time to feel fear. He grabbed his thermal suit and locked it into place. The helmet sealed with a sharp click. His breath sounded louder inside the suit. Fast and uneven. "Return to your position immediately," the command voice said. Now louder. Ethan ignored it. He opened the outer door. The moment it cracked open, a violent wave of freezing air rushed inside. It hit him like a wall, even through the suit. Outside was nothing but white chaos. The storm was alive, screaming across the frozen land. Ethan stepped out. The door slammed shut behind him, cutting him off from safety. For a second, he could not see anything. The wind pushed against him, trying to throw him back. His boots sank into deep snow with every step. "Signal locked," his suit system said. A small arrow appeared on his visor, pointing into the storm. That was his only guide. Ethan started moving forward. Slowly, carefully, each step felt heavier. Harder. The cold tried to break through his suit, creeping in like sharp needles. "Warning. External temperature critical," the system said. "I know," Ethan muttered. His voice sounded small inside the helmet. The storm roared louder, as if it was angry at him for being there. Snow hit his visor, blocking his view again and again. He wiped it with his glove, but it froze again instantly. Distance: 120 meters. The system said. It did not sound far, but in this storm, it felt endless. Ethan pushed forward, step by step. Suddenly, his foot slipped on ice. He fell hard into the snow. The impact shook his body. For a moment, he just lay there, breathing heavily. The cold felt stronger now. "Get up," he told himself. He forced his body to move again. Slowly, he stood up and kept going. Distance: 80 meters, the signal was. Getting weaker, life signs unstable, the system added. Ethan's heart started beating faster. "Stay alive," he whispered into the storm. He did not know if the child could hear him, but he kept saying it anyway. "Stay alive, I'm coming." The wind howled louder. It felt like time was running out. Distance: 40 meters. Ethan could see something now, a small dark shape under the snow. Barely visible, he rushed forward, almost losing balance again. Then he reached it. He dropped to his knees beside the small body. For a second, he just stared. The alien child looked even smaller up close. Its body was thin, fragile, and covered in ice. Its skin had a pale blue color. Its eyes were closed. Its breathing was so weak that it was almost impossible to see. "No," Ethan whispered. He quickly scanned the child with his suit. "Life signs critical," the system said. "Temperature dangerously low." Ethan's hands moved fast. He brushed the snow away from the child's face. The skin felt like ice under his glove. The child did not react. Hey, stay with me," Ethan said softly. He did not know why he was talking. Maybe to the child, maybe to himself. "I'm here now." For a second, nothing happened. Then, a tiny movement. The child's fingers twitched just a little. Ethan froze. "You're still fighting," he said. A small spark of hope lit inside him. He carefully lifted the child into his arms. It was so light, it felt like nothing too light. That scared him more. The system suddenly warned. "Warning, your suit heat is dropping." Ethan looked at his energy levels. They were falling fast. If he stayed out too long, both of them would die. He made a quick decision. He activated heat transfer mode. Warmth from his suit started moving into the child's body. "Energy levels critical," the system warned again. "I don't care," Ethan said. The child's body felt slightly warmer now, but still weak. Ethan held it close, protecting it from the storm. "Stay with me," he whispered again. Then he turned toward the base. Distance to base: 130 meters. It felt even farther now. His suit was weaker. His body was colder. And he was carrying a life that could disappear any second. Ethan took the first step back. The storm did not get weaker, it got worse. As if it was trying to stop him, but Ethan did not stop, not now, not when he had already broken everything. He tightened his grip on the child and walked into the storm. Ethan turned his back to the storm and started walking toward the base. The child was in his arms, light and fragile, like it could disappear any second. The wind pushed against him harder now, as if it wanted to take the child away. Snow hit his visor again and again, making it hard to see. Distance to base. 125 meters, the system said. It felt much farther than before. Ethan took another step, then another. Each movement was slower now, heavier. His suit was losing power fast. Warning, heat levels dropping, the system said. No, Ethan whispered. He looked down at the child. Its body was still cold, but not as frozen as before. The small heat transfer was working, but not enough. Stay with me, Ethan said softly. The child did not respond. Its eyes were still closed. Its breathing was weak and uneven. For a moment, Ethan felt fear growing inside him, not fear for himself, but for the life he was carrying. Distance, 100 meters, the storm screamed louder. It felt like the whole planet was against him. Ethan's legs started shaking. The cold was getting inside his suit now, slowly, painfully. Energy levels critical, the system warned again. Ethan checked the display. His suit power was almost half gone. If it reached 0, the heat would stop, and then it would be over. For both of them, Ethan tightened his arms around the child, trying to protect it from the wind. You're not dying here, he said quietly. I won't let you. He took another step, but his foot slipped again this time. He fell harder. His body hit the ice, and the impact sent pain through his chest. The child almost slipped from his arms. Ethan quickly held it tighter. No, he said, panic in his voice. He rolled onto his side, protecting the child from the ground. For a moment, he could not move. His body felt heavy, slow. The cold was stronger now, biting through his suit. Stand up, he told himself, but his muscles did not listen right away. Stand up, he said again, louder this time. Finally, he forced himself to move. Slowly, he pushed himself back to his feet. His breathing was heavy now, loud inside. The helmet, distance, 80 meters. So close, but still too far. Ethan looked down again. The child's head rested against his arm. Its face looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Hey, don't sleep, Ethan said quickly. His voice shook. Stay awake. Please. For a second, nothing happened then. A very small movement. The child's fingers curled slightly against his suit. Ethan froze. You hear me, don't you? He said. A small hope returned. Good. That's good. Stay with me. He started walking again, faster this time, ignoring the pain in his body, ignoring the cold trying to stop him. Distance, 60 meters. The base lights were faintly visible now through the storm, a small glow in the darkness. Safety. If he could reach it, but his suit suddenly beeped loudly. Critical warning, heat system failing. Ethan's heart dropped. No. Not now, he whispered. The warmth inside his suit started fading. The cold rushed in. Instantly sharp, painful, unstoppable. His hands started going numb. His legs felt weaker. But the child was still getting some heat. Ethan had one choice. He could save himself, or keep saving the child. He did not hesitate. He pushed more power into the heat transfer. Energy levels near 0, the system warned. I said I don't care, Ethan said, his voice low but strong. The child's body felt a little warmer now, but Ethan's own body felt like ice. His steps became slower. His vision started to blur. Distance, 40 meters, so close, but his body was reaching its limit. He stumbled again, almost falling, but this time, he did not fall completely. He forced himself to stay up. You can do this, he whispered. Just a little more. The storm did not stop. The cold did not show mercy. But Ethan kept moving, step by step, breath by breath. holding the small life close to his chest, as if it was the most important thing in the universe. Distance, 20 meters. The base door was now visible, a large metal wall in the storm. Almost there, Ethan reached out one hand, his fingers shaking, barely moving. The child suddenly made a calvi savingersime. Weak sound, a soft broken whisper. Ethan froze. He looked down. The child's lips moved slightly. A tiny voice came out. You. Warm. Ethan's eyes widened. For a moment, he forgot the cold, the pain, everything. You're going to be okay, he said quickly. I promise. But his legs almost gave up right then. His body was done. His energy was gone. He took one more step, then another. The door was right there, so close he could almost touch it. But his vision turned dark at the edges, and his body started to fall, still holding the child tightly in his arms. The storm howled outside the base, but inside, everything changed in seconds. Alarms started ringing across every level of the station, loud and sharp. Red lights flashed on the walls, turning the calm space into chaos. Emergency alert, unauthorized. Entry detected, the system announced. Soldiers looked at each other in shock. Who went outside? One of them said. No one answered, but everyone already knew. At the main control room, the command officer stood still, staring at the screen. His face was cold, but his eyes were tense. It's him, a technician said. Pointing at the display on the screen, a weak signal moved slowly through the storm. Almost at the base door. Open the outer gate, the technician said quickly. No, the command officer replied. His voice hard. The room went silent. He broke direct orders, the officer continued. If we open the door without protocol, we risk contamination. But he's going to die out there. Another voice said. The officer did not respond. Right away, he looked at the screen again. The signal was fading fast then. It stopped moving. For 1 second, everything froze. Then the officer spoke again. Open the gate. The command came late, but it came outside. Ethan's body hit the ground just a few steps from the door. He did not feel the impact. Everything around him was fading into darkness, but his arms were still tight around the child. The outer gate slowly opened. A rush of freezing air entered the airlock. 2 soldiers in full suits ran out into the storm. Hurry, one of them shouted. They reached Ethan quickly. He's alive, the first soldier said after a quick scan. Barely, the second added. They tried to pull him up, but Ethan did not let go. Even unconscious, his arms were locked around the child. What is he holding? One soldier asked. Confused, they carefully looked closer. Then both of them froze. It's an alien. For a moment, they just stared. The child was small, weak, and covered in ice. Take them both, the first soldier said quickly. They carried Ethan and the child inside the airlock. The door slammed shut behind them, sealing out the storm. Warm air slowly filled the chamber. Inside, more soldiers and medical staff were waiting. As soon as they saw what was in Ethan's arms, they stopped. No one spoke for a second. Put him down, a medic said. They laid Ethan on the ground carefully, but even now his hands did not let go. The medic tried to move his arms. They're locked, she said. Another medic scanned him. Severe hypothermia, suit failure, energy depleted. What about the child? Someone asked. The scanner moved to the small body. Unknown species, the system said. Life signs extremely low. The room filled with quiet tension. What do we do? One soldier asked. The command officer entered the room. Everyone stepped back slightly. He looked at Ethan first, then at the child. His expression did not change. Separate them, he ordered. The medics hesitated. Sir, he might react, one of them said. He is unconscious, the officer replied. Do it. Carefully, slowly, they tried again. This time, they managed to open Ethan's arms just enough. The child was lifted away for a moment. Ethan's body moved slightly, as if he felt it, even in unconsciousness. Take both to medical, the officer said. No delays. The teams moved quickly. Ethan was placed on a medical stretcher. The child was placed on another, smaller one. Machines were connected. Lights blinking fast. Inside the medical room, everything became intense. His body temperature is too low. One medic said, "Start rewarming." Another replied. They worked fast, focused. Then attention turned to the child. The small body looked even more fragile under the lights. Ice still covered parts of its skin. "Careful," a scientist said as he entered the room. "We don't know anything about this species, but if we do nothing, it will die." The medic answered. The scientist paused for a second, then nodded. "Do what you can." Machines scanned the child again. The results appeared slowly. Everyone watched the screen, waiting, hoping. "Life signs still present," the system said finally, weak. But there, a quiet breath of relief moved through the room. Back on the other side, Ethan lay still, his face pale, his body shaking slightly. "He's not stable," a medic said. "He gave almost all his heat away." The command officer stood in the doorway, watching everything, silent, still for the first time. Doubt crossed his face. He looked at the small alien child again, then at the human who broke every rule to save it. No one spoke, but one question filled the room. Was this a mistake? Or was it the first time they had done something right? The medical room was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. Machines made soft sounds as they worked, lights blinking slowly. The alien child lay on a small bed, surrounded by unknown technology. Its body was still weak, but no longer frozen. Thin lines of warmth slowly returned to its pale skin. "Stabilizing," the system said in a calm voice. The medics exchanged quick looks. "That should not be possible," one of them whispered. "We have no data on this species," another replied. "Then how is it still alive?" No one had a clear answer. Across the room, Ethan lay unconscious. His breathing was slow, his body still fighting the cold. "He gave almost everything," a medic said quietly. "If he stayed out there one more minute, he would be gone." The words stayed in the air, heavy and real, near the child. A group of scientists had gathered. Their faces showed curiosity, but also caution. "Start a deep scan," one of them said. "We need to understand what this is." The machine moved closer, soft blue light scanning the child's body. Data started appearing on the screen. At first, it made no sense. Strange patterns. Unknown biology. "Wait," one scientist said suddenly. He leaned closer to the screen. This is not aggressive." The others looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "There are no signs of defense systems," he explained. "No toxins, no hidden weapons, nothing." "That's impossible," another scientist said. "All alien species we have seen had some form of defense. Not this one," the first scientist replied. He looked deeper into the data, and there is more. The room grew even quieter. This child, it was not just alone. "What are you saying?" The scientist took a slow breath. "It shows signs of long-term hunger. Severe," he added. The medics looked back at the small body. Now it seemed even more fragile. It was starving. One of them said softly. "Yes," the scientist replied. "But that is not all." He pointed at another part of the scan. "There are marks here." Small lines appeared on the screen. "They are not injuries," he explained. "They look like sharing patterns." The room filled with confusion. "Sharing," someone repeated. "What does that mean?" The scientist looked at them, his voice quieter now. "It means this child was giving its energy away." "Silence," to who a medic asked. The scientist paused for a moment. "Others," he said. "Most likely other children of its kind." The idea hit the room like a shock. "You're saying it was starving because it helped others survive?" "Yes," the scientist said. "And it kept doing it until it had nothing left." No one spoke after that. They all looked at the child again, this time not with fear, but with something else, respect back. Near Ethan, his monitor suddenly beeped faster. "He's reacting," a medic said. They moved closer quickly. His body shifted slightly. His fingers twitched. "Ethan, can you hear me?" the medic asked. For a moment, nothing happened. Then his eyes opened slowly. Everything was blurry at first. lights, shadows, shapes moving around him. He tried to speak, but his voice was weak. "The child," he whispered. "You are safe," the medic said quickly. "You made it back." Ethan shook his head slightly. "No." "The child." His eyes searched the room, full of urgency. The medics looked at each other. Then one of them pointed to the other bed. "There," she said softly. Ethan turned his head slowly. His vision cleared just enough, and he saw it. The small alien child, lying still but alive. A quiet relief passed through his face. He closed his eyes for a second. "Good," he whispered. Across the room, the command officer stood watching again. This time, his expression was different, not cold, not distant. Something had changed. He stepped closer to the scientists. "What have you learned?" he asked. The scientist looked at him. "This is not an enemy," he said. "This is a survivor." The officer looked at the child again, then at Ethan, a human who broke the rules, and an alien who broke itself to save others. The room felt different now. The fear was gone, replaced by something deeper, understanding, and maybe the beginning of change. The room was calm now, but something had changed in the air. The fear was gone, and in its place was a quiet feeling no one could fully explain. The alien child rested on the bed. Still weak, but no longer fading. Soft lights surrounded it, and the machines moved in a steady rhythm. Near the other side of the room, Ethan lay awake. His body was still weak, but his eyes were open, watching. He did not care about his pain. He only looked at the child. "Can I go to it?" Ethan asked in a low voice. The medic hesitated for a moment. "You should rest," she said. Ethan slowly shook his head. "I need to see it." There was something in his voice, something strong and real. The medic looked at the others, then gave a small nod. "Slowly," she said. Ethan pushed himself up. Pain moved through his body, but he ignored it. Step by step, he moved toward the small bed. Each step felt heavy, but he did not stop. When he reached the child, he stood there quietly. For a moment, he just looked at it. The child looked different now, not as frozen, not as lost, but still fragile. Ethan slowly sat down beside the bed. He placed his hand gently near the child's small fingers, not touching yet, just close. "I'm here," he whispered. His voice was soft, almost afraid to break the silence. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, a small movement. The child's fingers twitched again. Ethan froze, watching closely. The tiny hand moved slowly, searching. Then it touched his hand just lightly, but enough. Ethan's breath caught for a moment. The contact was small, but it felt powerful, as if something passed between them. Warmth, trust, something deeper than words. The child's eyes slowly opened. They were not like human eyes, but they were clear, soft, and full of quiet emotion. For a moment, the child looked confused, lost between fear and safety. Then its gaze focused on Ethan. It did not look away. Ethan leaned slightly closer. "You're safe now," he said gently. The child blinked slowly. Its fingers tightened just a little around his hand. Then in a weak and broken voice, it spoke. "You came back." The room went silent. Every person in the room heard it. The first words from a species they did not understand. And they were simple, but full of meaning. Ethan's eyes softened. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I came back." The child watched him closely, as if trying to understand more than just his words. "You, warm." It said again. Ethan gave a small, tired smile. "I tried." The child's eyes slowly closed for a second, but this time, it did not look like weakness. It looked like trust, like it was not afraid anymore. Around them, the medics and scientists stood still. No one interrupted, no one spoke, because they all understood something important was happening, a connection that no rule had planned. The command officer stood near the door, watching quietly. His face was calm, but his thoughts were not. He had seen many things in his life, war, danger, loss, but this was different. This was something simple, a human hand, and a small alien hand holding it. nothing else. But somehow it felt bigger than everything. Back near the bed, the child slowly opened its eyes again. It looked around the room this time, at the lights, the machines, the people. There was no fear in its eyes, only quiet curiosity. Then it looked back at Ethan and held his hand a little tighter. "You, stay," the child whispered. Ethan nodded without thinking. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, and he meant it. At that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the rules, not the punishment, not the past. Only this small life that had trusted him, the machines. Continued their quiet work. The storm outside had begun to calm, and inside the room, something new had begun. Not just survival, but connection. Not just rescue, but understanding. A human who broke the rules, and a child who never gave up, now sitting side by side, holding on. The station was quiet again, but it was not the same kind of quiet as before. Something had changed, and everyone could feel it. The storm outside had finally stopped, leaving the frozen planet calm and still. Inside the station, a different kind of storm was about to begin. The decision about Ethan had to be made in the central hall. The command officers gathered. Their faces were serious, their voices low. "This is a direct violation of protocol," one officer said. "He ignored orders, left the base, and risked everything." Another officer nodded. "If we allow this, we break discipline. And if we punish him," a third voice said quietly, "we ignore what he saved." The room fell silent for a moment. No one could deny the truth. Ethan had broken the rules, but he had also saved a life. Not just any life, a life they once believed did not matter. In another room, Ethan sat on a chair, waiting. His body was still weak, but his mind was clear. He knew what was coming: punishment, loss of rank, maybe worse. But he did not look afraid. He only looked toward the door, as if waiting for something else or someone else. The door slowly opened. A medic stepped inside. "They are ready for you," she said softly. Ethan nodded, then stood up. His steps were slow but steady. He followed her down the long hallway. Every step echoed in the silence. When he entered the central hall, all eyes turned to him. The officer stood in front of him, cold, calm, unreadable. "Soldier Ethan." The command officer began. "You are aware of your actions." "Yes, sir," Ethan replied. "You broke a direct order." "Yes, sir." "You risked this entire station." Ethan did not answer immediately. Then he spoke, calm and clear. "I saved a life." A quiet tension filled the room. The officers exchanged brief looks. "That was not your decision to make," one of them said. Ethan stood still. "It was the only decision I could make," he replied. Before anyone could respond, a soft sound came from the doorway. Everyone turned. The room went completely silent. The small alien child stood there, weak but standing, supported by a medic. Its small hand held onto the edge of the... No one had expected this. The child slowly stepped forward, each step careful but determined. The medic tried to stop it, but it gently pulled away. "I go," the child said softly. Its voice was still weak, but clear enough. It walked toward Ethan. The room stayed silent. No one dared to interrupt. When the child reached him, it looked up. Its small hand reached out and held his hand again, just like before. Simple, quiet, powerful. Then it turned its gaze toward the officers. For a moment, it said nothing, as if searching for the right words. Then it spoke, slowly, carefully. "He saved." Every word echoed in the hall. When no one came. Did not. Silence, deep and heavy. The words were simple, but they carried more weight than any command. The command officer looked at the child, then at Ethan, then at the rest of the room. Something in his expression changed, not weakness, but understanding. He stepped forward slowly. He looked at Ethan, but when rules fail to do that, he paused for a moment. Then they must change. A quiet shock moved through the room. The decision was clear. "Soldier Ethan." The officer continued. "You are cleared of all charges." A breath of relief spread through the hall. Ethan stood still for a moment, as if he was not sure he heard it right. Then he looked down at the small hand holding his. The child looked back at him, and for the first time, it smiled, a small soft smile, but real. Ethan smiled back. Tired but relieved outside, the frozen planet remained cold and silent. But inside the station, something warm had begun, not just in one room, but in every heart that had witnessed it. That night, a human broke the rules, not for glory, not for reward, but for something simple, for life, and in doing so, he did not just save a child, he changed the meaning of what it meant to be human.